Today we blitz Secret Lives of Mormon Wives Season 1 Chaos. Taylor's arrest, Vegas drama, saints versus sinners.
Plus, Fruity Pebbles Gate, laughing gas Botox parties, and the editors mixing LDS with Catholic crosses.
Yes, we noticed.
Let's get feral.
This is First and Feral, Utah Unfiltered. Utah born, chaos sworn. No filters, no fluff, just real voices and wild stories from the Beehive State.
Okay, episode 1, the first book of Taylor. So I thought it was funny that the producer, the very first scene is literally Taylor saying, they asked Taylor, tell us how a couple of Mormon moms making TikTok suddenly turned into this crazy swinging sex scandal.
Swinging. They always call it, do they say swinging or do they say soft swinging?
In that scene, the producer uses crazy swinging sex scandal.
Oh, wow. Okay. Wow.
And so Taylor's this front and center ready to be interviewed. And that's literally the very first question they ask her. So I feel like it was like coming in so strong on, we're going to hear all about it. And then I still don't know like who.
They breezed over it.
Yeah. Like
so frustrating.
It's saying, okay, so like in Taylor's TikTok, she pops up and says, everybody was swinging with everybody. Everybody was swapping. But then like, if you look at the TikTok like the TikTok group, the mom talk, none of them are in it. So I'm so confused.
So none of them in the first season were involved in the soft swinging scandal that Taylor was involved in. So it is odd because I feel like they use that to just like hook the audience, because that's what hooked me. That's why I was like, I'm gonna watch. I want to know what went down, and then they just kind of breezed over it.
100%, yes. So it's still a little bit confusing for me on what actually took place.
I feel like bits and pieces are starting to come out, like as we get into like season 2, and like bits and pieces are starting to come out, but they literally, I would say all of season 1 breezed over the swinging thing. Maybe except for that clip. I think that's probably the only clip they played of it.
Yeah, I'm not sure. So even with her question, Taylor sits there and is like, okay, like she's ready to tell. And then it like moves past it. Like she doesn't really explain, even in that interview.
It's really all about Taylor. Obviously, the book is Taylor, but it shows her kind of a breakup with her ex-husband, because it does show that clip of that night where they had the domestic dispute, right? Which
her and Dakota?
It was with her ex-husband. They showed a clip of her because she got arrested for domestic violence, which postponed the filming of the show. I don't know if you knew that. So they started filming, had a cast in mind, and then Taylor got arrested for a domestic dispute, and it stopped the filming. And then when they went to go film again, they were looking at bringing in, like, I don't think, we'd have to verify this, but I don't think Jesse and Jen were on that original cast until after the domestic dispute, and they started refilming again. So like not Demi, Jesse and Jen, let's verify that, but Jesse and Jen were like kind of thankful for it because they wouldn't have been on the original. They weren't on the original roster.
Okay, I did not know this. The first episode, it does introduce like Whitney, Macy, Taylor, and Michaela. I don't know if Jesse was in it. Jesse and Jen, actually, now that you say that, because it goes with Taylor for a minute, and then it goes to Whitney talking about how she grew up in this glass house. She thought everybody was Mormon in the world. Like she was very, very sheltered.
Which is so common in Utah. I feel like we grew up that way so much. And probably me more than you even. I was in a bubble. Like all of my friends were very active in the church. We all came from strong LDS families, and I was in a bubble. Like I wasn't introduced to alcohol literally until college.
Yeah. And I think that was a little bit different for me. I had a couple of friends who were not LDS, but they would come to church with us, you know, if we were going as a group or to like someone's not blessing, baby blessing, but if there was some sort of like in high school, if people were going on missions, right? The older boys, when they were leaving, we would go to their like farewells together. And my friends that were not Mormon were attending, so they knew all about the church. So it didn't feel as though they weren't LDS, right? But I was exposed to alcohol and things like that in high school. So I don't think I was in a bubble, but I think you don't realize that the Mormon culture is so strong until you go outside of Utah. And so with us, I mean, it's not that we didn't travel. It's just, I think we were somewhat in a bubble of thinking this is just normal.
I don't think that Whitney's like a super relatable character in season one, but I can relate to her on that note as far as growing up in a bubble. They also kind of introduced the budding romance between Dakota and Taylor on episode 1. So Dakota is kind of like her new love interest, you could say. They introduce him.
Yeah, so she goes to her mom and is like, well, we made it official, like we're together. And her mom is just upset. Like, this is not the time. You're not divorced yet. You're always screwing up. She's not very nice. Leanne isn't. And she's just upset that Taylor would move forward with Dakota. But Taylor then tells her, I have to take a pregnancy test tonight. So then she's like, oh, great. Like, you're adding to this now. Like, what is going on? But I thought what was funny in this first episode too is the girls keep using the term new generation of Mormon moms. Oh. And so I wondered, like, what is their take on new generation? Like, the LDS people are just going to like live this, they're LDS, but then they're partying on the weekends. Like, what is the new generation?
I almost appreciate this show because it brings to light what's actually happening, not for everyone, right? But in this younger generation of people, we've talked about it before. We have friends that just behind closed doors are drinking and not living to the LDS standards per se, but then they're going to church and being perceived as if they are. So I do think they're bringing to light. That's kind of the great thing about this show, is they are bringing that to light. I had forgotten about the term like new generation though. That's kind of.
So also too, I think where they're going with that is Mom Talk, right? They talk about how they started Mom Talk for fun and to like get outside of being a housewife, right? Because in Utah, a lot of women are just housewives, and it's not just housewives. I'm not saying that because I mean, that's a hard job, but you're looked at as you need to stay home and be the homemaker, and the man is the one to be the breadwinner and out making money. And where like, I mean, the industry is right now, I don't know how you live off of one income really. So women are having to go outside the home and work to be able to provide, especially for these large families. And so I think that's too also why they're using that term new generation, because they're working moms.
True. That's very true. Yeah, they're kind of boss babes.
Yeah. One thing that like caught me off guard was all of the Catholic B-roll. If you watch like their intro and like B-roll between scenes, it's a lot of the Catholic Church, like the cross and the Catholic church in general, and then like the stained glass. That is not the LDS Church at all.
Again, note to producers.
Yeah. So that was throwing me off because I'm like, wait, like we're confusing people on what the Mormon religion is. Like, I saw the temples being shown, but I didn't actually see churches. And the churches that I seen were Catholic.
Yep. With like the confusing cross and yes. Yeah, that was confusing and that bothered you. So Jess's background is communications, and she's put together B-rolls and all of those. I don't even know the right terms, but it bothered her because she was like, "That do your research. Like that's not Mormon or LDS."
No, because the LDS people, don't actually see the cross as a symbol. We know like Jesus Christ was on the cross, but it's not a symbol that the LDS people are wearing on them. So that's very much Catholic or Christian. And so it just threw me out of it quite a bit.
So true.
So that was interesting. And then towards the end, it kind of highlights Whitney and Connor, discussing Connor's like porn addiction and the rumors about Connor being on Tinder. And so it goes further into that in like a few other episodes, but a porn addiction in Utah is very common. So
That's what I was just
Connor
gonna
is going through, I feel like, is very common because sex is not taught. We're supposed to like keep our bodies worthy and have values, and we don't have sex until we're married. And so people, in general, humans who are curious about sex or anything like that, it goes into like a hiding situation because they can't talk about it in their home or to their parents because they feel shame because they shouldn't be looking or talking about sex until they're married.
Which Connor took on kind of a favorite husband role, I would say, throughout this season because he was so vulnerable in sharing that problem. And I think a lot of people, especially from Utah, could relate to having that problem. So yeah, I feel like he right up front kind of took a husband, like a favorite husband role, which is interesting dynamic between Connor and Whitney. I feel like it's such an interesting dynamic because she's so, I don't know if abrasive is the word.
She's very like devout, and I feel like she's the most like active and following the church guidelines. Like I think she's living an honest Mormon or LDS like member.
Jen and Zach, though, I mean, at least for season 1, Jen and Zach, I felt like also.
I think if you're looking at like who's devout, I think Jen and Whitney are the most who like encompass the religion.
I agree.
So episode 2, the Book of Belonging, Whitney is upset with Taylor and she doesn't show up to Taylor's baby shower. And that's episode 2. And so Whitney actually goes to her mom and is talking to her mom about a deal that she was offered, which is a sex toy deal. And it's $20,000 and she has to take a picture with this sex toy. And she's worried that her mom is going to be upset, but she also is trying to be an advocate for talking about sex because she's now dealing with a husband who has a porn addiction. And she also was not given like the sex talk when she was growing up. And so she goes to her mom and confronts her mom about it of like, why, like my wedding night was a mess is what she said. And I think that's common for Utah. Because we're taught not to have sex until marriage, then all of a sudden in one day, everything is different. You can have sex that night. And so I think there's a lot of women scared. They don't know what to expect. And some women don't even end up having sex on their wedding night because it's not talked about or discussed on what to expect or
scary.
It's scary. And so Whitney goes to her mom to talk to her about it, but she wants to do this deal with the sex toy deal because she's like, I need to be an advocate. Like we should be talking, like my wedding night was a mess. Why didn't you talk to me about it? And I thought her mom's reaction was so funny because she literally looked at Whitney and said, I had a toddler at the time, Whitney, like give me a break. But why is that an excuse? Like
no, it's
you're
not
raising a toddler, but you still can't have a talk with your daughter about sex. Like we're just not taught sex education in Utah school at all.
Not at all. We've talked about this too, like with our own personal experiences. We didn't really have that conversation with our mom either. It just was not talked about. And so then when you start becoming sexually active, it feels like, what am I doing? What do I do? Do I need to be on birth control? Like, do I not? Like, it's
and you feel very guilty and like shame around it instead of being educated. Right. And so Michaela talks about being pregnant at 16. And I think that's common here in Utah too, that girls are getting married young and they're having babies young too.
Is Michaela still with Is her husband the baby daddy of that
Yeah.
baby?
Yeah. So
Okay.
she ended up marrying her dad, and it talks about that in a couple other episodes. But
Okay.
in episode 2, while we continue with that, that's where you see Taylor dealing with the aggravated assault with Dakota. That shows that whole thing play out, where the cops were called from the neighbors. She threw the chair at Dakota.
Oh, that's their ex-husband. That's not with Dakota.
No, it is
Are
Dakota.
you sure?
100%. Yeah. Yes,
No,
because
I thought.
it opens up with that, and she
Oh,
goes to
she's
jail.
dressed as her ex. That's why I'm getting
Oh
confused.
yeah, she's dressed
In
as
the
Dakota
video,
or something.
no, she's dressed as. Is it they dress as their significant other?
Uh-huh.
At a party, they dress with their significant other, which I think is such a fun idea. We should do it.
Yeah.
That's why I'm getting confused. Yes, I
Yes,
can't
and
remember
so
if it's dressed with their ex or dressed
no,
as
it's Dakota. And so she goes to jail. She goes to jail and then gets 3 years probation and charged with aggravated assault.
and then filming stops.
Filming stops,
They
and
were
that's why,
we
like,
can't do it without Taylor Frankie Paul.
yeah, yeah. And so then there's more talk about Dakota moving in, and Taylor's parents are very upset that she would move in with him before they're married.
Yeah, I feel like Taylor's parents too are upset because it seems like like Taylor's constantly jumping from like one relationship to the next without actually healing from like previous. And so I think that's probably where their frustration comes from. As a mom, it would be hard.
Yeah. So episode 3 is the book of Saints and Sinners, and Taylor confronts Whitney for not coming to the baby shower. And basically Whitney is just saying, like, I didn't think we were that good of friends. And so it hurts Taylor's feelings.
Yeah. Didn't Taylor's mom call Whitney at the baby shower too? That was something.
Yes.
It was a big
That's
deal.
very weird.
Taylor's mom stepped in and called Whitney and said, "Why aren't you here?" And the girls were like, "Why is she inserting herself into this?" So that was kind of odd. You kind of start to see the dynamic between Taylor and her mom play out in this season. It's a different dynamic for sure.
Yeah. Yes. And then they have a party at Jen and Zach's house, and Jesse and Jordan end up bringing alcohol to the party. They have alcohol in the hot tub.
In the hot tub. Yeah.
And so Jen and Whitney, they're mad because they're like, why would you bring alcohol to a party that you know it's not welcome? Which is uncomfortable. I think just being a person that is outside of the church, I do drink alcohol occasionally, and it would be uncomfortable for me to bring, a drink to my grandma's house. I just wouldn't do it. It's disrespectful.
Yeah,
Yeah.
It's kind of disrespectful.
Yes.
Because if you're entering a home, like was it Zach's parents' home?
I think it was Zach's parents' house. Yes.
Yeah, I think that is disrespectful because you know that they don't drink. Let's not bring it into their home.
Yeah.
This also I feel like is the episode where you kind of start to see the more devout.
Yes.
Like Jen, Whitney, the more devout members, and then you also start to see like a divide with the devout and the sinners, and that's where the term the saints and sinners come from. Is like half the group are like, okay, we're the saints, we're the kind of more devout group, and then the other half, like Jesse, Demi. We should probably specify who's
There's Jesse, Demi, Michaela, and like Layla, who are a little bit on the outs.
In the saints side, and then the others
fall on the saint side or the sinners? Yeah, on the sinners.
Sorry, yeah, sinner side, and then the others are the saints.
So in this episode 3, it also shows the girls getting Botox, which is common. It's just hilarious because they're so young. Like, I was not getting Botox in my 20s or even 30s. But the funny thing is they start into like the laughing gas, and I never actually knew that was a thing.
I didn't know you could get.
All of the girls are passing around the laughing gas to get high. So why is that okay?
Well, and that's what the whole controversy, like outside watchers of the show were like, wait a minute, like you can't have alcohol and you don't do drugs, but it's okay to go get Botox and pass around the laughing gas to get high. Like
Yes.
it was, yeah, there was a lot of controversy around that particular piece of that episode.
Yes. But then this episode is where Demi has her girls' Valentine's party, and she's really trying to have like a girls only party and empower mom talk. And it goes south because Whitney brings the Fruity Pebbles gift to Demi
Which
and
we
totally
even-
embarrasses her.
Yeah. Which to like preference that supposedly there's a long running joke between Demi and her husband about something sexual that happens around Fruity Pebbles. And it was like a private joke between Demi and her husband, and somehow the girls found out about it.
Demi told him. Demi told him on a trip, but she said, "This is off limits. Like, we cannot talk about this. Like, Brett would kill me if he knew I was telling you."
Do we even know what it's about yet, though?
No, I still don't know. And even
still
still
don't
to
know.
this day, when anyone interviews the girls and they say, like, "Are you ready to talk about Fruity Pebbles?" they shut down and say no. So no, I don't know the reference, but it's something to do. The only thing we do now know is Fruity Pebbles has something to do with the taste.
Smell. Oh, I thought it was a smell. The smell and taste of Fruity Pebbles. Something to do with that. Something sexual. Other than that, no idea what it's about. But Demi is really upset in this episode because the joke just doesn't play out how it was supposed to land.
I do think it was very embarrassing, though. Like, that wasn't the right time or place for Whitney, because she sits Demi down and is like, "I brought you this very special gift. Like, thanks for having the Valentine's party." And so Demi is excited about it. Like, "Cool, thank you for thinking of me. Like, that was so nice." And then she opens it and it's Fruity Pebbles. Like, it embarrassed her. You could see it on her face. And so I do think it was very rude of Whitney.
Also, if it was a private conversation where Demi specified like this was supposed to stay between Brett and I, and then Whitney just like brings it out in front of everyone, that is all awful. But there has been rumors since the season aired that producers did go to Demi and ask her about it first. Whether or not that's true, I have no idea. But Whitney has since come out and said, no, we had a conversation. Demi knew what was coming.
Oh.
I also, though, think because producers are the way they are on these types of shows, they could have like maybe told Whitney, like, hey, Demi's fine with it, go with it. You know what I'm saying? Just to like produce the reaction they got from Demi. So who knows what's really true, but there has been rumors that Demi did know about it.
Yeah, I don't know.
Either way,
that's interesting.
Probably not cool.
Episode 4 is the Book of Truth, and it talks about the girls go to Park City. It looks like Park City. I don't know. It doesn't actually clarify. They go to the hotel and they sit in the hot tub. It's snowing. Like, it looks exactly like Park City.
Yes.
But remember, is it Demi? No. Yeah. Demi brings the box of truth. And the girls have to write a question in the box anonymously. And then they have to read the questions and answer them. Like that, right when she brought the box out, I get anxiety for them. Like, what are you doing? You're causing drama and like tension between the whole group.
Also, don't you think, I always wonder, like, okay, this is more than likely a producer's idea, right? To just stir up drama. Do you wonder if they go to Demi and they're like, we'll give you a bonus.
Yeah, I don't know.
Money to take this box out. Because I'm like, what girl would be like, yeah, this is a great idea.
No one plays that game. Like, that's so weird.
No, definitely set by the producers somehow. But anyways, they bring it out.
Yes. So then there's tension between Taylor and Whitney, because Whitney is basically calling Taylor white trash, saying that she's gotten, like, she's trashy from the swinging scandal. She's trashy from like her dancing in like Dakota. And so they start going at each other because Whitney is supposedly jealous of Taylor for all the forgiveness she's actually gotten over all of these mistakes she's made. And Taylor backs herself and says, like, okay, you're seeing forgiveness, but have you seen all the trash, like, talk that people give me and, like, threats? Like, I'm getting death threats from coming out about being a swinger. Whitney is jealous because she posted that video about her baby. And so remember the baby video? Her baby
Yes.
was diagnosed with like RSV and a few things, and it was really scary.
Yeah.
Well, in the middle of them being at the hospital, she does a dance, almost as if she's like happy. And so people came at Whitney saying, "Why are you using your baby
And
to
this is
create
long before
videos?"
Whitney was a part of the show, or she was
She was
just
just
big
in
on
Mom
TikTok.
Talk.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so, but Whitney is saying, like, that's not where the video was coming from. I wasn't trying to get clout based on my baby's status. I was trying to make a really scary and painful situation. There was one positive, and I was trying to like dance through it.
Yeah.
You can see that, but then I also see the side of, well, like, probably not the best time to post a video about your child.
I also feel like this is the episode 2. I mean, Whitney, all of season 1 is really painted the villain of season 1. Like
Yes.
you don't love her after season 1. Just
No.
put it that way.
No.
Yes.
Episode 5 is the Book of Broken Vows, and it's a power struggle about who's going to be the queen bee of TikTok.
Yes. Yeah.
Whitney or Demi. And Demi is considering being the leader, which I think is hilarious because I'm like, what is the leader?
Is it Whitney or
Like,
Demi, or is it Taylor and Whitney?
Whitney and Demi, because Taylor is
Well,
kind of stepping away. She is pregnant, like dealing with a bunch of other stuff. Taylor is dealing with Dakota, and there's pressure behind her family pressuring her to marry Dakota, and Dakota wanting to marry Taylor. And she is saying, like, no, like, we're not even close to being in that space. I'm not getting married to you just because I'm pregnant. Which I think is awesome, because in the eldest religion, you are pressured. If you were pregnant, you would probably get married before even anyone ever even knew that you were pregnant.
We know so many stories of people that are like, oh, had a baby 6 months after we were married, but they don't. Yeah, it's very interesting. It's so silly. Like, I don't know why is that pressure there. I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not sure. But episode 5 also shows Layla and her really celebrating her divorce. They had like a divorce party, which I thought was interesting.
They do. Yeah,
I thought it was kind of interesting because they all wear black and like celebrate Layla and her married name dying type thing. But I've never attended a divorce party. Have you?
No, I don't think it's a common thing. I don't know if they just needed an excuse to throw a party and we're like, let's celebrate Layla.
Yeah, some of their parties are very like out there that I'm like, that's not really a reality of we're not celebrating all these things. I think there's people who go out and they're like, I'm single, let's go out as girls and drink or whatever they're doing. But to throw a big party and Layla like comes in a black like corset and black veil.
It's all very dark, like that. Wherever they filmed the club or wherever they're at, it's just very dark, like dark, and everyone's dressed in black. Yeah, moody.
Yeah,
mood is the word for it.
Yeah. So that was interesting.
Isn't Whitney absent, or did Whitney show for that one?
Whitney is still there, and Jesse confronts her and says, "You're fueling the fire. You talk about people behind their back. You talk about the group, and we're concerned that you're just fueling fire." So Whitney is put off and wants to leave Mom Talk.
That's when that starts to.
But then also Macy starts to have a problem with Dakota and just feels that Dakota doesn't have Taylor's best interest, and she wants to protect Taylor. And so she's talking about how Dakota's not good for her.
Michaela and Macy, I feel like, especially in season 1, almost take a back seat. Like, they're not a front and center character by any means. You don't really know about them much.
No.
Too much.
Yeah, no. The episode 6 is the first book of sins.
Vegas, right?
They're headed to Vegas, but it's not all of the Vegas scenes. It is the girls' trip, and Jesse surprises everyone for Layla's birthday. and they go to Chippendales. But it ends like not showing you what actually happened, because in the first of the episode, it's more about Jessie, and she actually has a party about sisterhood, and she has the girls draw their perfect and cutest vagina because
Oh,
she's
yes,
talking
and
about
name
her
it.
labia plasty.
her reconstruction of her
Yes. So she gets her boobs redone and like her labia plasty done.
It's like amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that was about empowering the sisterhood. And anyways, so that was interesting. I thought it was so funny. Jessie was very vulnerable.
You could tell, I felt like you could tell, I think it was Jen was very uncomfortable in that, like having to draw and like name. Like you could tell this is like not her. She was like, wait, what are we
They're
doing?
like painting. Yeah.
Yeah. So funny.
Yes.
And
So that's funny.
in that episode, doesn't she show all the girls herself? Like she
Yeah,
shows
after
herself
surgery,
like,
she shows.
Mhm.
Yes.
I actually saw Jessie talking about that episode later on a podcast, and she said that her husband Jordan was a little bit upset because she's like, I wasn't thinking about it. I was just thinking like, let's show the girls like, what I got done and how good it looks. But really, there were multiple cameramen standing in the room also. And so I think I had listened to a podcast where she was like, yeah, Jordan wasn't like super happy that I just like whipped it out in front of all those cameramen. But she's very open and vulnerable, which is one of the reasons why we love her.
She is. I mean, since then too, she's had several laser treatments and she had a lower bluff and things like that, and a nose job, and she's very open about what work she's having done.
Yeah.
Why she feels like she needs to do that. She's darling. I'm not sure, but power to her. I mean, if she feels like it needs to be done, then whatever.
Yeah, no, I mean, she looks great. So
yeah, she does. Yeah. So then they head to Vegas, and it shows like them meeting, like they're headed to Chippendales, and Jessie is trying to like surprise everyone.
Jessie was surprising them with Chippendales.
Mm-hmm.
None of them knew where they were going. None of them knew that they were headed to Chippendales. Just want to preference that because the argument in episode 7, I think, is probably where that happens.
Yeah. So they go, and like Jessie surprises them with even meeting Chippendales. Like they had like a meet and greet before the show.
Mm-hmm.
And it's more for Layla. It's Layla's birthday, and Jessie's trying to surprise her as a single woman. Like, here's all these hot men, and they even tell the dancers like, focus on her, like, do this. And so I felt like, what? Like, yeah, go and have fun. Like, I feel like it's so like harmless.
So harmless.
The dancers are working. One, they're not going home with these women, and two, this is their job just to like play it up. And so if Layla is single and they're just trying to have fun with their friend, I don't see why it's a big deal.
Well, so Jen's husband, Zach, enters the picture, which we hadn't previously seen too much of him, but enters the picture and really upset when he finds out Jen is at a Chippendales show, like upset about it.
Yes. And he's just basically saying like, I'm going to divorce you if you attend this show. Like he's very, very rude and very upset.
Like he jumps right to conclusions and sends her not nice.
Dakota was backing him because Dakota and Zach were both in Vegas. Remember, they showed up and Jessie was like, what? This is a girls' trip. Like, why are they even here in this town? And Dakota also was not very happy that Taylor was headed, because he ended up calling Brett and saying like, all I can envision is Taylor going home with these men. And Brett's like, that's not what's happening.
Yeah. No, and it ended up being, to me, Layla and Jessie had a great time.
Yeah.
Like, had a great time at the show.
Yeah. So episode 7 is about the Book of Trust, and it is Dakota. They're just super upset about the show, and Dakota actually shows up at the house the girls were staying at, and he is telling Taylor, like, you have changed since I met you. You're way less loving. And I feel bad for Taylor in this circumstance because Taylor is 9 months pregnant, like almost gonna have a baby. And so your emotions would be all over the board. And I don't think that he even looks at why she would be so emotional. He's just like blaming her and is upset, but she's also saying like you've made me build walls because of these rumors and things that are going around about you being unfaithful. So I was kind of upset with Dakota in that stance, but Jen left. Remember, Jen left with Zach. She just left in the middle of the night with Zach because he was threatening to take the kids and leave. And I don't know, Zach did not come off very well.
No, season 1,
Very
Zach
controlling.
very controlling. He talked very negatively of Mom Talk in the group. Almost, it seemed like held himself on a pedestal above the girls. And in saying, so Zach is at the time was going to medical school to be a doctor. He comes from a long family line of doctors, a family of money. And so it seems like he came off like, I'm better. This is such a stupid thing. Really demeaning to Jen.
Yeah.
His wife.
Yes. And so
back to the Taylor thing though, there was one scene where all the girls are like up, I don't know if they're eating breakfast or something, and Taylor's still sleeping in bed, and she says something to the fact of like, I'm so pregnant and I don't have kids. Like, I'm going to enjoy this and just sleep in. And like, that was like one scene that I was like, I can relate, girl. Like, I get like, when you're so pregnant and like, no kid, like, yeah, sleep in.
Yeah, and you're so tired too. I feel like you're so tired and you are very emotional.
Yeah.
So the way that Dakota came into the house and then was like laying in bed with her, just like yelling at her, basically, I was so sad for her because I'm like, just give her a minute.
You also start to see like the toxic like side of their relationship. Like Dakota and very toxic for each other. And you start to kind of see that foundation start like crumbling throughout this first season.
Yeah. Macy ends up telling Taylor about the girl that accidentally slept with Dakota. It was like the confession that she got. And it's funny because Taylor is like she accidentally slept with Dakota. Like there's no accident about that, right? And so that's where Macy is like, I think you should know that I got this confession.
Macy though it seemed to me, never really liked Dakota.
No, I don't think she does. No.
Always been like not team Dakota. Like, Taylor, you got to get away from this guy.
Yeah. And I think earlier in the podcast, I talked about, I do like Dakota. I do not like how he's responding to Taylor. I don't like how they treat each other. I feel bad for Dakota because I do think that he has a history of substance abuse and like he's got some demons to deal with himself. And I think that I feel a little bit bad for him, but him and Taylor are not good for each other.
Well, the reason why is because Dakota hasn't dealt with his issues and neither has Taylor. So then them coming together, it's just like fight. Like, it's just not good. It's really
fun. Yeah. So episode 8 moves to the Book of Rumors, and Dakota basically lies up and down about the girl who is, offering this confession. He is swearing nothing happened. And Dakota calls Macy, member, and says, I would like to talk to you in person. And he's angry that Macy told Taylor. And I actually was really proud of Macy in that scene because she said, like, I am loyal to Taylor. When is the best time for me to tell her? Like, before she has the baby or after she has this blissful like heaven of a new baby and with you? Like, then I blow up her world. Like, there's not a good time for me to tell her about this. And it's not my fault that you made this decision. Yeah. So I'm kind of glad because Macy does stand up to him.
Yeah.
And then Whitney meets her family for a dinner. She's kind of outside the group. Like, she's kind of steering clear at the moment of Mom Talk. But she meets at a restaurant with her family.
I feel like are not sure about Whitney either. Like, they're just kind of like,
yeah.
Is Whitney is this when Whitney like does that whole unfollow, or is that season 2?
Yes. Yeah. So she does not show up to Macy's baby launch, the baby mama launch. And that
Which
really hurts Whitney's feelings because they're the closest in the group.
Yeah, it hurts Macy's feelings.
It hurts Macy's feelings. Yeah. Anyways, Whitney, though, before the launch party, she meets up with her family and tells them that she's pregnant, but she brings the actual pregnancy test to the dinner. And they're like, "Did you pee on that?" And she's like, "Yeah, but the lid's on." And they're like, "No, like we don't want to touch
put
it
in a cake or something.
No, yeah, she had it. Yeah, something. I don't know. The family was like thrown off by it. Like, we want to know you're pregnant, but we don't want the pregnancy test.
I don't want the pee stick. No thanks. She's so funny.
So funny.
Oh yeah.
But then the launch party happens, and Winnie tries to apologize to Macy, but it doesn't really come off as a good
genuine.
No, and Macy tells her, like, "You're in my doghouse." So,
which is a big deal. So like Macy's been working on this business, this project for so long, and Whitney's aware of it. She's put all this work in, and then you don't show up to your best friend's like launch of this business. Like that is rude.
Yeah. So the last episode is the group is questioning if Mom Talk is better without Whitney.
Yeah.
It ends with Taylor having her baby, and she is moving forward with Dakota. She felt like Dakota was super supportive during the birth, and she's trying to focus on the baby, and she's confident in them as a couple and like their future. But then at the end of the episode, it shows Macy calling Jenna, who is the girl who gave the confession, and says
that he supposedly slept with.
Yes, and says, "I need to know more about you and Dakota's relationship." And it just ends with that.
And the cliffhanger ends
Yep.
and leaves us all wondering, like, we need to hear from Jenna. What did she say? Is it true?
Yes. Yeah. So that is, I mean, everyone was just in shock about like did Dakota sleep with her? What is she gonna talk about? The other thing that it ends with is Jen is talking to Zach, and she is leaving Mom Talk because Zach doesn't want her in it. And he says that they're going to New York, and she won't miss anything in Mom Talk.
Yeah. And it actually shows, I think, a clip of them in New York.
Yes, it does show a clip of them, I think, in Central Park.
Yeah.
And it's kind of heartbreaking. Like season 1, I was like, Zach, ooh, like red flags all over.
You know
Jen.
what we didn't mention too is his gambling problem. That was a big thing about when they were in Vegas. Jen claimed that Zach gambled a bunch of like her money away.
Mm-hmm.
That was something that Jen had said.
Yeah.
And so I feel like Zach was painted very much as the controlling, not kind of an asshole husband.
Yes.
Yeah.
What's going to happen in season 2?
And they always, it seems like every episode, it's like, is Mom Talk going to survive this?
I know.
It's always that. Like, will Mom Talk survive? We don't know.
Yeah. Yes. Anyways, but the main thing leaving that season is I was like, I still don't know about the sex scandal, and this is why they're on the map. Like, what happened?
What happened and who, like, I did after season 1, did like a deep dive into like, okay, who is involved in the swinging scandal? None of the cast was involved except for Taylor. I did find kind of the 2 other girls that were involved and like did deep dive into that because I was so curious. So I'm like, it's crazy to me. Like that was the hook to get everybody in, and then they just didn't. And I don't know if it's because a lot of the they did reach out to the other girls that were involved in the swinging scandal and asked for them to be on season 1, and they declined. So I don't know if that's the reason why they felt like they couldn't really go into it without those other characters. I don't know.
Maybe, but why didn't we hear Taylor that much?
Yeah, let's hear. Well,
why didn't they like dive into Taylor?
I don't know. It was odd, and I think the viewers us as the viewers were very disappointed with them not just kind of brazing over that for sure. Yeah. Next time on First and Feral, Utah Unfiltered, the season 2 recap you've been waiting for.
Trust us, it gets feral.
Thanks for listening to First and Feral, Utah Unfiltered. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and stay a little feral.